Hey, Julian.
Hey Mathieu, how are you?
I'm doing good. You?
Really good, man. Really
Yeah,
good. Excited
great.
to be here.
Amazing. Thanks for coming on. So, just for a quick introduction, Julian, you're a team leader in the real estate here in the Ottawa region.
Yeah.
You have a total of 7 agents
hmm
working alongside you, along with 2 admins. And the
hmm
name of your real estate group is the Hyams Real Estate Group.
You got it.
So you're pretty well based down here, having 7 agents. You're well established. It's been 5 years you're in the business, and coming up on the 6 years. You
Yeah.
told me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like we're relatively new. The team is just over 2 years old. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Mm.
And you're seeing expansion. It's going well so far.
So, man, to say like it's going well, I mean, there's wins and losses in the same day, right? So, yeah, things are going, if you had to sum it up, yeah, definitely things are progressing, things are going well. But yeah, man, there's caveats, there's issues, there's things that come up that it's a new challenge you hadn't dealt with. To be in the business 5, almost 6 years, you're still relatively new. I'm still relatively new, so there's new challenges that I could have never imagined.
That's it. It's an experience game. Like there's nonstop nuances. I've been in the business for a year and a half, almost 2 years now, and it's just
Yeah.
constant learning and
That's
improving
it, eh?
and seeing. Yeah.
Year and a half, 2 years, man. Like you are killing it. I didn't know it's like you're actually quite. You know your stuff, man. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
It's not a very long time. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's it.
'Cause I feel new in like 5, 6 years. Like
Hey,
yeah,
you got to absorb what
it's
you get,
impressive.
right? These meetings down here that we're having in Ottawa with the team EXP1 at the office here.
Yeah, that was good.
Such good
Hank
knowledge.
Vink, man, that guy
Absorb.
is incredible at
Yeah.
what he's done, and just his message is very just like just do it, and then he breaks it down. You ask him a question, and he actually like expands on it with some like real granular advice,
Yes,
which is what you
sir.
need in someone like that. He's a very impressive individual.
Totally agree. Let's talk about you and your
Okay.
team. But just to get started, what inspired you to get into real estate?
Yeah, so I was actually involved in house flipping before I even got my real estate license. So I was doing some renovation work with an Australian house flipping team from about 18, 19 years old on to put myself through school. So started off pretty just like, I wouldn't say easy work, but pretty like Neanderthal level. It's like simple stuff. A lot of reps in drywall, tiling, flooring, painting, all of that crap for many years. I really did it up until a lot. Sometimes there'd be gaps, but up until I was licensed when I turned 28. So that opened the doorway for myself to investment properties, to the idea of flipping houses, and I actually got involved with that crew at a very obviously a young age. I bought my first property when I was 23, and I took some sold that property, bought another one, and another one, and another one, and discovered which I can get into a little bit later, but discovered the Burr strategy, which I'll expand on.
Yeah, that's very solid as a strategy for.
And yeah, anyway, and then discovered like how much realtors can make, and just thought, wow, what a money grab these guys are getting. I can do this. I want more deals for myself. I'm going to get my real estate license. And so that's really where it came from.
That's where it kicked off, eh?
Yeah.
Wow. It must have given you a good foot to start on, right? I wish I had that exposure of, doing renovations and whatnot, and understanding houses to a deeper extent, right? You got to know what you
Yeah.
sell. If you're going to be a salesman,
Yes,
like
sir.
you got to understand it to the bone. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, some people know stuff, more than others, but I think it definitely gave me a really good start. So when I got my license, I kind of hit the ground running with knowing some construction components. When I talked to people, they didn't really know that I was brand new as an agent, because I could talk about exactly what you just
That's
said.
it, exactly. And you seem so much more knowledgeable. Well,
Yeah.
you were so much more knowledgeable, and it
Uh,
inspires like
certain things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
inspires confidence in your clients, and that's very important, right? So yeah, that's a good base to start on for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, on to the challenges. What's been like the biggest challenge so far in your business?
Man, that's wow. So, obviously the market here, I think just generally in North America, but specifically where we are in Ottawa, the ups and downs. So I joined in 2019. when you could buy a townhouse for 400,000. That same townhouse today is 650.
Much different market back then.
So but they change rapidly.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenge is just adapting to constant chaos. This last 5 years, I've heard from people that have been in the game for 20 years. This last 5 years has been absolutely nuts. That's all you know. I knew just the tip of like really the good times, and then the pandemic hit and the craziness. So yeah, honestly, man, the biggest thing is just adjusting to not knowing what the heck's coming.
Yeah, you got a very volatile time when you started. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's still now too, man. Like it's, just because I think we can get into this later too, but like, for example, like Trump's tariffs, like how is that going to affect now? How is it going to affect in 3 months, 6 months, a year?
Been getting that question quite a lot, and it's like, I haven't experienced it in the past either, so you can take my word for it, but I'm not more knowledgeable than any other people that hadn't have any tariffs put on them in the past, right? It's hard to grasp what that impact may be.
I don't think we know. Honestly, I don't even think Trump knows what's going to happen, right? So it's just stuff like that. It's like, you've got all these clients, you've got like with us, I've got the team. So you have to know what to say or have something to say to these guys and gals when they ask you questions. But quite honestly, like we don't know. So just doing the best I can to adjust to the chaotic times.
That's it. Constantly being adaptable to any situation. That's what you got to do, because we're market dependent. Right? That's what it is to be in sales. You're market dependent, and if there's a threat of tariffs or there's a lot of money printing that causes houses to go up a lot, that's what happens. We need to be able to adapt to it, right?
You know how I say it, dude? I say like we're on the front lines of the economy.
Yeah.
Whatever major shifts come, like we feel it immediately. Like the ability to buy for consumers dries up, we feel it immediately. Those mortgage rates come down, we feel that immediately. As in 2020, where it just got crazy. So yeah, front lines, man.
For sure.
Dependent.
That's it. I mean, it's one of the biggest assets that anyone will ever have, a home, if not like the biggest asset. So it's exactly, we need to be in the right place to be able to do recommendations and see projections of what it could happen to the market. So if you could go back and give yourself advice when you were starting off, now with your 5 years of experience, what would it be?
Probably just relax. Just chill out, brother.
Yeah, eh? Ride the wave.
And seriously though, like I think we get, when you lose clients or there's discouraging things that take place, which is on the daily for us, that's just the industry. We can put ourselves into a state of panic or thinking that whatever's happening will be a constant. And I've learned that like it isn't, tomorrow might be completely different than today or yesterday. So really just learning to go with the flow and not hang on to clients too tight, not hang on to really any idea too tight, because it's going to change anyway. You don't really have a lot of control. So the more that you learn to just go with the flow of adapting to the market and adapting to consumers' demands and that changing, the better career you're going to have, the smoother it's going to be, and the more business you'll be able to handle. So I think when we start as new agents, we actually we kind of sabotage ourselves by freaking out, and there's definitely room to make mistakes and to be stressed. But I was stressed, man. I was stressed a lot when I first started, and still am, just different things. But I've tried now there's a voice in my head now that just says like, just chill, dude.
It'll all work out.
It'll all work out.
Yeah. It's important to remind ourselves about that, because it's a very volatile time, and also it's when you're starting. Like for me, when I'm starting, you're kind of dependent on your scarce amount of clients, right? It's you don't have that clientele too much built in, and when you do lose a client, like it'll hit you. It'll hit you in the ego and monetary future, and so there's a lot of aspects to it, and that's wise advice. Yeah.
And so if you're feeling down from it or like discouraged, it can affect you from just getting back on the horse, and like maybe there's a client that's at that party that you could have gone to, or 5 phone calls away, that because you're so discouraged, your confidence is down, and you're stressing over the failure that you did.
Yeah.
You're now missing other
Yeah,
opportunities.
you'll work less efficiently and you'll be, focused on
Self-sabotage.
Yeah.
That's what I found a lot. And so if there's one thing that I could change, honestly, I don't regret anything, but that would be that. It's
Yeah.
just,
That's really good advice. Really good advice. So now that you got all that knowledge, what's your leadership style when you're running the team? And that
Yeah.
must be another learning curve, but it's been 2 years, so you gotta have
Yeah.
developed a style.
yeah, that's a really great question. And I mean, it's takes a lot of like intuitive looking at yourself, analysis. So it's hard to answer, but I would say like, my style is like, it used to be more of, it's changed a lot. So it used to be more like a do as I say, or and me, going off about like, well, when I started, this is what I did for success. My first year, and this is actually true, I did around 10,000 dials in my first year in order to build the business. I was working 80 hours plus a week. And so I would talk about that, a lot with the agents about what I did and how I found success, and be really focusing on getting the message into their head. Now it's shifted more to like, let them be a bit, like still say the stuff that you believe in, but lead by example. And so now I'm back to doing those dials. I'm doing those appointments like crazy. I'm focused on my own career and showing how to sell homes, and being there in the trenches with them. I don't think that this is something that hopefully one day, once I have kids and stuff, that I will want to continue just out of time's sake, or that hopefully I won't have to. Maybe I can have some leaders that I've put in place that they're now showing how to do it, leading by example. But that's where I'm really focused right now, leading by example. And I lead with my heart. I'm a very like emotion. We're all emotional, but I lead with like, this is how I actually feel about this, as opposed to being more like political about my answers, or more like calculated.
Yeah, I'd put it like that. You're very genuine.
Yeah,
You're
try
very,
to be.
very genuine, and it's a good asset to have for sure.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And yeah, for sure. If you do set that example, the people will follow along. If it's a good example,
Yeah,
of course.
if it's working.
Exactly. Instead of just constantly, you should
You got to
that,
do
you
this.
should
Pick up
do
the
that.
phone. Pick up the phone.
This
It's
is
like,
my
well,
expectations.
Yeah, like you're not picking up the phone, dude. Like why should I?
Yeah.
And they might not say that, but they subconsciously feel that.
Exactly.
So that's the focus this year, is just
And you want your team to be on your side, right? It's your team. You don't want to be beating them down by saying like, you're not doing enough calls, or you're not getting enough meetings with clients.
So that's a really good point, Matt. And like, lead with positivity, as opposed to like punishment. The rewards of like, lead with just like, instead of telling them what they're doing wrong, really just showing them how to do it right. And when they do, then obviously one, rewarding them for that, but also pointing it out, and it'll go a lot further. And it's something that I had to learn.
Yeah.
Because you get stressed. You freak out as a team lead too, when people aren't doing things that'll lead to their success.
It must be hard, because you're starting to delegate, right?
Yeah.
You're inspiring confidence in your team, but it must be so hard, because you're used to doing the selling.
Yeah.
You're used to it, but now your job is more so to guide people and help along.
It's the hardest thing, hardest challenge I've ever gone through, honestly, is starting a team and learning how to, like you just said, like delegate, and learning how to like adjust to like not being such a micromanager, letting them have control, and just like guiding.
Yeah. Because like it or not, like agents are, if you're in a team, okay, you do have a team and all, but you're almost like your own boss at the same time, kind of, right?
Totally.
You do your schedule, you pick when you do your meetings and everything. There must be different team structures for sure, but being an agent, it's, if you don't put in the work, deals won't come to you. Right, so you can be, slacking and slowing down, and that can be hard to manage if you see that in your team or something.
And you just got to keep the emotions out of it. And it's hard. It is hard to not be like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Pick up the phone. It's hard, man.
Yeah. Would you say that's the hardest thing of managing a team, or what would be like the hardest, thing that you've encountered while managing?
Depends on your personality. For me, that is the hardest thing, is not having and I've adjusted majorly, but not being able to control, other people's work ethic and not being able to like truly motivate people. You can inspire, but you can't motivate if that motivation isn't there. I think that's the hardest realization as most team leads go through. It depends on your personality though. Not everyone is going to be, have the expectations that maybe I have or the need to control the outcome like I have. So, but for me, yeah, like seeing people that aren't motivated and then trying to motivate them and then realizing you can't.
That's
That was
it,
hard, man.
right? And you must have
That
like
was hard.
you have a vision for your team, right? It's your business and all, but you got to make sure that your team is on the same vision as you. You know, if someone doesn't fit with your team and it's causing, some alterations or some bad vibes, if I can say it
Yeah.
like that, you want everyone to have like the same vision, right? You want it to be prosperous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you won't discover if they don't have the same vision until later. They might say that they do, but then out of nowhere, like you realize, oh, like you actually don't. You're in this for yourself or whatever.
The reality will come out. Yeah, yeah. And mostly in the stressful times. I feel like that's where it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on at Christmas time.
That's it. Do you think having a larger team is better or having, I guess a better organized team with a smaller amount of agents, yet, more
Yeah.
more focused?
Yeah. I'm probably the smaller side. The thing is though, too, like there's a whole other side to it with like EXP and how EXP is built. EXP, it allows you through revenue share to actually have a larger organization without those people necessarily being within your core focus. So I think a bit of both, because if you set up the delegation properly and you have good, strong agents in your core that can then help mentor and sponsor other agents that come on, you don't necessarily have to have those agents that you're bringing on directly under you or directly in your core. So a bit of both. But to simplify it, I would say myself, I can only focus on so many things. I like the number 7. Right now, it's working. And so it's just enough. It's still a lot of action, a lot of questions, a lot of different personalities and inputs. But for me, that's manageable. I don't know. Is that small? Like is 7?
I feel like it's a good level, like you just said. I feel like it could become a little bit too much if you're managing, like, say, 10 agents or above. I
Yeah.
feel like that'd be drawing a lot of your time out of your day if you're still working on deals.
Yeah.
There's different ways to have a team. You can just be the lead and have confidence in your team, and they make deals, and you do make some income out of it. But I feel like it's hard to find a just middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you want full-time agents on your team, and those agents need to be able to pay their bills and not just pay their bills, but actually like have a decent life. So you need to be able to have enough focus to help them do that. And you have to have enough business to be able to help them get that business and close that business. So yeah, kind of a middle of the road. Like a couple agents, it really depends. Like some of the stronger teams that are the strongest teams in Ottawa that I've seen, one of them in particular, he just has one showing agent, maybe 2 now, and like they're absolutely crushing. That model works for them, but he is still working, 100 hours a week.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, they're crushing, but you got to put in the time. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty much where we're at right now. Our office in Limoges, we're 3 agents.
You guys are
Me,
3?
Cedric, and Sylvain. Cedric's trying to take a little bit of a step back and start to hire a little bit more agents. But last year, us 3 agents, we did a total of 144 deals,
Yeah, it's
if I'm not
incredible.
mistaken. Like it's you can have a really small team and high producers and all, but that team must be willing to put in the work and the hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of gotta either find the exact right people or have a just middle and a little bit more agents, but you have more management to do in that case as well.
Awesome. That's a great example. You guys are a great example of that team that is that size that crushes it.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to be on that team. I'd say it's the best opportunity I've had so far in my life. I was in Hearst in a small 5,000 population town and just, gave a call to Sylvain, which was my neighbor growing up, actually. And I said, you're in real estate. what is it? What do you do on a day to day? I think I'd be interested in it. And then logged into a Zoom with Cedric, and we kicked it off. And I'm really glad to have joined the team. It's
Cedric's a
an
cool
amazing opportunity that I've got.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've done podcasts. He's actually sitting in that chair where you're sitting, and he's a really cool dude, man.
for sure.
He's very sharp.
Yeah,
So you're in really good hands there. I've heard of your guys' success, from other sources, not even from you guys. And when you start hearing that and seeing that, you guys are doing something right. So yeah, you guys are inspirational. What you're doing there. Keep it going, man.
great to hear. Thank
Honestly.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's go on to daily routines, and let's see. In such a fast-paced business, are there any things that you try to do, every single day to keep you focused, or some routine that works for you?
Yeah, so I split my day up into hour or max 90-minute increments that's spread between, like, obviously opportunities to like eat, for example, in the day, or hit the gym, because the gym's very important to me just for mental. So what I do is I have hours that are like 1 hour is dedicated to just vetting our listings, what's going on with our listings, making sure things are working properly, and if things are, like, going after new listings. That's just dedicated to listing time. I have an hour that's dedicated just to database management, so going through our massive database and just seeing that adequate tasks are set, and things are making sense. If someone's asking questions and hasn't been answered by one of the agents, then taking care of that client. So I break up my day in my Google Calendar, everything. I know what I'm doing within, like, reason, because there's obviously random appointments.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Listing appointments, but I usually know breakdown of my week, 6 months to a year in advance.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's broken up into those time blocks, because I have ADD and find that after about an hour to max 90 minutes, I start to lose focus, and production quality goes down.
Oh,
I need
yeah.
to go do something, hit the gym or whatever.
You need to get grounded again in the middle of the day or so.
Yeah, so I drink caffeine. That's something that I definitely want to get away from eventually. Right now, it's like the fuel, like, keep going. Coffee in the morning, energy drink, or I try to stay away from them if I can. But maybe another coffee in the afternoon, because around 2, 3 o'clock you kind of hit a wall.
Yeah.
But I find, like, production for me is highest in the mornings. So I have also on my calendar something I call the action list. And that's before most people are up, and it's just dedicated to I self-manage a lot of my own rental units, and then I have a lot of other projects outside of being a real estate agent that I'm going through right now. So there's a lot of stuff for that. I have 4 corporations, so a lot of things. We're at year end, so there's a lot of taxation stuff. So just as an example, or just God only knows what needs to be done. That's on the action list, and that's actually, I have a list on my computer of just, like, right now it's hundreds of things of just in prioritized order. Some will take months to do, some can be done in 2 seconds. And I start at priority level, and then I go through that within that hour and a half in the morning.
Yeah, and
So,
you try to bang out as much as you can to
Yeah.
remove them from that list, right?
Yeah, so it used to be random how I scheduled and structured my day, just like whatever came at me. Sometimes you'd find yourself, like, twiddling your thumbs, and then that's when you're scrolling on Instagram, wasting time, or you're just, like, bombarded with 40,000 things at once, and
Yeah.
you don't know where to go. Like,
And
what do I
it's
do?
just so overwhelming. You need to take a step back.
100%. I
Yeah.
know that you definitely have gone through that, being a successful agent. And so what I do is I divide it up, and the day is structured. And something I'm working on is trying to allow for time for my girlfriend, and time for family, time for, like, myself, to kind of, it's a necessity that I
That's
noticed.
very important for sure.
I noticed that, man.
Yeah.
And
Not to be ignored.
I've tried the just 7 days. A lot of my career is just the go 7 days, don't stop. It catches up with you really quick.
Yeah, that's it exactly. And you're not producing at your 100% anyways when you don't get any rest. So are you
100%.
really doing more work?
Yeah.
That's a question to be asking.
Yeah, it's probably more efficient to just, like, take a break. and then just relax and then go back at it.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, like giving time to your partner, to your loved one, and any
Yeah.
other relationship. I feel like
Yeah.
cherishing relationships around you, that's what helps you like keep up while you're in the more down times or harder times and all. It's a support system. So cherish them when you're able to have the energy to cherish them, because yeah, sometimes it'll hit you, that wall of tasks.
Yeah, and I've been guilty of like when our date night comes around, like just putting it on the back burner, showing up late for half an hour or something like that. What's today? It's Thursday. Today's date night. So I better actually do well now. But yeah, like I wouldn't be in the position that I am without Morgan and the energy that she's put into my hopes and dreams, and like having her home life be comfortable and relaxing. Like I would not be where I am or even close or as happy as I am without her. So like you just said, like you use the word cherished, like yes, like she needs to be cherished as well as your family too, the people that have helped you get here.
Yeah.
Very, very crucial. And I think something that's not really talked about enough in business. It's always about like your goals.
Yeah.
Hit your goals.
What's next? What's next?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
One of your goals should be your home life and creating an environment in which you feel supported and they do as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. So what would a typical day look like? Just a day to day for you? You said you got time blocks and all.
Yeah.
What's a typical day, your average day?
Well, I mean, I think I just touched on that pretty extensively, but I would say, like, I can tell you about today. You get up as early as you can, depending on, sometimes I stay up late, I work too late, so I'm like groggy, but try to get up between 6 and 7 and get to that actions list, hammer that out after some coffee. And then I get into a conversation with my operations manager, with Steph. We talk for half an hour to an hour, depending on what we're trying to accomplish in the weeks, the months, everything. And then I'll get into my priorities, which are what's going on with our listings for an hour, who, like the agents themselves. So how are the agents doing? Where do they need support? Do I have a meeting with a new agent potentially or whatever? And then I'll have some lunch, and then I will, after the come back, I will get into database management. And then I tend to, after crushing that, like I will get into either my appointments the afternoon when most people are off and able. And that'll fluctuate on, like my gym time when I go to the gym will fluctuate depending on my appointments, like
Yeah.
in and around there. So
Got to be flexible for sure.
yeah, like the gym, I try to get there before the madness and there's no parking, like 3-4 o'clock. But it also depends on the class that I'm doing and stuff like that. But yeah, that's just kind of up in the air.
That's great.
most
You
days.
got a really great structure. I feel like that's something I'm gonna have to work on in the next few months there, because I'm seeing it become quite busy, the market right now,
Yeah.
and structure is very, very important to not get burnt out,
Yeah.
and also it's for the time for the loved ones and just fitting
Yeah.
everything in there.
Yeah.
It's very important.
And because we forget about them, we do. We have to be honest. Like,
Oh, the head it's a storm.
Yeah.
It's just a storm,
Yeah,
and just trying to manage that storm. But like you said, it's very good advice. Like ride the wave, right?
Yeah.
That's what you gave as advice. I think it all comes down to that. Like it always works out.
Yeah.
It always works out. Sometimes we tend to, get caught up into something, but it'll work out.
Yeah, it will. And just like catching yourself, like you can get overwhelmed quite easily. Catching yourself, and something that it's more just self-discovery. Tend to get that like anxiety, like anxious. I don't even know if anxiety is what it is, but just this uptight, like you feel something's off, almost a physiological feeling where you're like your stress feeling in your stomach, there's all this stuff, like you don't really know where to focus. And what I've learned is just like becoming aware of that feeling, like just, oh man, like I'm tight, I'm holding on to something too tight, just relax, like just releasing, and like, yeah, there's work to be done, but just like chill out, come back to it. And because you're like you had mentioned, like you get overwhelmed, there's just like there's no focus on what the next thing is, and that's crucial. You're going to be a lot more efficient with that focus. And like you said, it's a storm. Like I love that, man. It's just there's a gazillion things to do in a day. You're like, how do you organize that? And that's
Yeah.
why I've broken it down.
Yeah, I like it. I like your structure for sure. I'll look
Even
into
with
that.
that though, Matt, like you will still, you hit like, oh my God, like you get stressed over certain things because the stars align that day. There's 5 things to do at once.
I feel like you need still some open time because there's
Yeah.
always unexpected things in business.
Yeah.
Like there's always going to be
And your
unexpected
life.
thing you need to address right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we have cats. I know you've got a couple,
Yeah.
beauties as well there at home. And, sometimes our cats catch mice. And like it would have been last year in warmer months, like I got a call from Morgan. She's freaking out, and like I thought something was wrong with one of the cats, and no, the one of the orange boy there, he had caught a mouse.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and she couldn't even get it out. She's terrified of mice, and like that's unexpected. I now have to drive home. You know,
Then
it's
you
like
had to go,
2:00. It was rush hour.
Cut your day in half. Yeah.
It's just
But hey, talking about cats, that's good stress management right there.
yeah. Can we? Is that in here? Can we talk about our cats soon? Where is that?
Yeah.
That's what I really
put
want to
that
get
in the
to,
program
man.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, that's amazing. Like at the end of the evening, just petting my cat. That
Just
like
smelling the
the
cat's
ball
back.
that you were talking about in the gut there. That ball like becomes
huge.
so much smaller when I'm petting Maya and Spooky as
Me
well,
too.
just playing with them. Yeah, and I
Me
feel
too.
like, you know what?
They're amazing.
I feel like having kids is even more meaningful, and that must be such a relief. You come home, you play with your kids, whatever it is you're doing Legos or you're doing whatever painting with kids. Or just
Yeah.
I feel like that's I can't I just
Grounding.
can't wait. I just can't wait to have
Yeah.
that.
You realize all
way
the
to
other
step-
shit doesn't matter, right? Like it's just like this is everything.
Let me
right?
cherish this being
Yeah.
here. Yeah. I'm getting that feeling with cats, so I can only imagine just a dog or kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
100%, man.
Yeah,
Like
life is beautiful.
I think I say the exact same thing as you just said. Yeah. Like because I love my cats, of course. Everyone knows that. But yeah, like once you have a kid, whoa. Like, man, like you actually created this thing, right?
This is a dependent human being off
Yeah.
of me, and if I don't raise it right, like what's gonna happen? It's on me, right?
Yeah.
So let me cherish this being. Yeah.
That's huge, man.
So let's talk business.
Okay, back to business.
Back to business. You mentioned that you're quite well diversified. I'm going a bit off script here,
Yeah.
but you're quite well diversified. You said you have a couple of investment properties.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. It's something like I only like to talk about when asked, and just because like why it's like I'm fortunate and it's a lot of where the success came from was not knowing what I was doing, like really having no clue what I was doing, but having a drive, like a need for building. Like I wanted more income. I wanted to build something. Wasn't even sure really what it was yet, but at the right time. So like I don't know how old you are. You don't have to say, but I feel like I'm quite a bit older, and like that's what I'm saying by luck, like and timing was like you could buy a property. You know, like my first property, man, like bought for $215,000, right, when I was 23.
That's so different.
So yeah, and so timing, right? But yeah, regardless, like that allowed myself to, I also made less money than we do now, but like still, it was easier. It definitely was. There's without a doubt, like it was a lot easier to buy properties, and I had this like want. I'm like, I want a larger portfolio. I wish I'd bought more. But you need more money to do that and the ability. But yeah, I had a few properties before I was, literally I had 3 that I kept actually, before I was 28.
That's amazing.
And why that was crucial is, the last one that I bought and kept, which I tried to sell later like an idiot and I couldn't, but, cause I needed money. I got it in. I got the approval from the lender. It closed December 2017, right before the stress test came in. Because my broker at the time was a good broker. She said, the stress test is being imposed in 2018. You will not be able to qualify for a mortgage. And this was a property that we had secured. Thank God you're sitting down because it's crazy. Like it was $400,000 for a bungalow in Alta Vista. And I got it at 380. They were urgent to get out, yeah. And And I remember when I went to the showing, I was looking for something. I'd done a few hardwood flooring restoration jobs. I thought, I'm like, oh man, I can do that. Like it's
It was a project. It needed a bit of a
this place
reinvestment,
was
I guess.
original, man. Pretty like they'd done renos in like the 80s or 70s, you know. So, but pretty much it was the 60s, but pretty much original. And I remember I went and the whole house was carpeted, and I ripped up the corner. You're not supposed to do that, you know. But I saw, I'm like, oh my god, there's red oak flooring. The whole house is like untouched red oak flooring.
Wow.
Put it back down, put in a low ball offer, and we ended up settling at 380, and just closed right before the stress test. And so that bungalow, beautiful property, ended up like full brick bungalow, classic, you know, so many in Ottawa. Converted it into the classic 2 units, up, down,
Okay.
with building code, fire code, soundproofing, all of that. And today I still have it.
Wow, that must be worth quite a lot right now.
So it actually, like, it was appraised in 2022 for way higher than it's worth now. Like they gave me $1 million RBC. So refied that and took that. I went and bought a 6 unit, plus a bunch of other projects. Like right now I have 8 buildings, and like, yeah, like,
So how many doors
So-
total?
so it's like actual doors right now. I have 13 doors, but I'm building a 20 unit as well. So
Wow.
by 26, we'll have 33. And like the building is a whole other world where that really pushes you to, if you can make the numbers work, because it's based off pro forma and investors, and it's a whole other world. But you really got to know.
For sure.
I don't. I know 10% of the process.
So you got some partners
Yeah.
in there then.
You got it. And that's
yeah.
where I was going to go with that, is like partnering with the right people that are more knowledgeable than you,
Definitely.
will allow you to jump up, and people with some money.
Yeah, that's
to-
it. It's gonna help you like get the capital to be able to take on the projects, right?
Yeah. So, and I really jumped ahead there massively because I don't want to go on and on all day and let you ask questions if you want. But yeah, I've done a lot of stuff, man. Like duplex conversions where I did all the drawings myself. I've done a lot of the work. You know, I'm doing projects where I'm doing 60-70% of the work myself, living in the projects, which it was horrible.
Yeah, it must be. Having that work experience and being able to take on all the projects in the home yourself
Yeah.
makes it easier for you to, cash flow and make it profitable, right? Well, you were asking my age
barely.
earlier. I'm 23 and I bought my first
Wow.
property last year. So we bought it at the same age, our first properties. And but I'm not as handy as you, so I had to really spot a good deal, and I'll pay someone to come do the work, and that's this disadvantage for me. But on the numbers side, quite wise, I'd say. So that's my strong suit, and
What
we're
was
all-
it? What did you buy?
I bought a 2009 bungalow with a secondary dwelling unit in the basement
Oh.
in Limoges. And
Brilliant.
it's a kilometer from my office, not even.
Yeah.
It's right on the same
So you
corner
live in
of the
one
street.
unit and rent out the other?
Exactly. I
So
live on the
smart.
upper floor, and then in the basement, it's rented out since 2022. So it's market rent, and it's doing good income, helping a lot with the payments, and much more comfortable than
So
than
smart.
renting with the girlfriend. And for her, it's a good experience while she's in school. At least we have something comfortable for the family and stuff.
You're doing house hacking. That's what they call that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like where you're living in the house, and well, a lot of the time it's people renting out rooms, but what you did is the way better way. Obviously, if you can get something
That's
like
it.
that.
With a partner, I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rent out rooms. But if I was alone, all the rooms
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
rented.
and I've done it too. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable sometimes with strangers. But you didn't have to do that with this, so that's really good. So upstairs, how many beds upstairs? How many beds do you have down?
I got 3 bedrooms upstairs and 2.5 bathrooms upstairs.
Wow, so full house, like you
Yeah.
don't.
Oh yeah, I got like
Yeah.
maybe 1,700 square feet. It's a
Wow, it's a
great
big
size
place.
house. Yeah, for sure. And then the basement, it's about 1,200 square feet.
Awesome. Big
2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. And
Smart.
it's renting out at 1,900 right now. So yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's all in, obviously, because
That's it. It's
yeah.
not separate utilities because it's not a duplex
Right,
per se.
right.
But yeah, whole separate entrance, all the fire code and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's a nice property. And Limoges it's an up and coming area.
Oh, yeah.
It's I think this is a great place to be investing.
Yeah.
We represent 2 builders down there, so I kind of have a bit of information what's coming,
Yeah.
right? So I definitely I think I hit the right spot there.
No, that you 100%. And so, like, what are your next steps for with that building? Like, are you looking to eventually refinance that and get into something else, or what's the plan for this property?
Yeah. The plan. My girlfriend right now is in school. She still has a year to be done school, and then
Okay.
she'll be getting a job. It'll be easier to have a vision then. But I'm
Right.
already planning out pretty much after she's had probably a year in business or in work.
Yeah.
Then I'll be refinancing
You can
and
get a good
hopping onto
approval
a
and
next.
yeah.
Yeah, refinancing and hopping onto a next property for sure. And I think I'll see where it is that I'm
Yeah.
working at that time, but I really like Limoges. There's a lot of French
Good
there, so I
town.
feel comfortable. It makes me feel
You
comfortable,
speak
similar
French?
to Hearst. Yeah. Can't you hear it in my English? But yeah, it's just very nice, that little town, and I see upwards aiming market there. So I feel like this is a good place to invest. I think that's the next move. Maybe another duplex will be the next move. Yeah.
Yeah, getting the multiple units spread across, as opposed to like you get a townhouse where you're renting it, even if you get $2,700 for that, you just you're buying it for 500,000. If you could get a place that's 2 units for 600,000 and that rent is $5,000, so much smarter to get those multiple units. And that took me, like, I didn't even know what you knew at that age, so you're ahead of the game there, because back then there was less ready available information, less people doing it, so there's more opportunities. And that's where I say, I'm like, frick, I wish I had purchased more, gone to
Yeah.
family members or something and said, hey, like, this is what I'm trying to do, but I wasn't smart enough yet.
Right. You're doing great.
But yeah, and so are you. And like, you need to be smarter now. Like, that you knew at that age that's what you wanted to do, or even younger, I guess, when you bought it. So getting those multiple units, and so
For sure.
really
Yeah.
smart if you can keep on that path and then leverage that into commercial. And once you get rolling with commercial, get your partners in on that.
I
You can
think I'll do
big
that
things.
eventually for sure.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Looking into it, but that'll come a little bit further for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, 23, come on, dude, tons of time.
Let's make it happen.
Love it, man. I love that. Good for
Yeah,
you.
that's it. So what's your take on today's market? How's it going with buyers? How's it going with sellers? What are you feeling right now?
So, I mean, I think it's a bit of a stalemate. Like, it's like every week it kind of changes, right? Like, December, I found, like, December, bit of Jan was like really hot. Actually, the beginning of Jan was like really slow, and then it like sped up, and then Jan was like crazy, and now it's slow again. And I think it's really subjective. So you have to kind of look back. You got to look at like a 40,000-foot view of what's coming. So what's coming? We've got the economy is confused, like we touched on really early on in this. What's going on with the U.S., what's going on with Canadian dollar, that's going to have a serious impact. And I think a lot of buyers they're hesitant. And yet when you flip to the other side with sellers, I'm not sure of the exact percentage, so I'm not going to quote the exact number, but I know it's very high. A number of mortgage renewals are coming up over the next 18 months, 17 months here. I think it's like the most in a very, very long time.
Yes.
So what that does is, because a lot of these people were signed on 1%, 2% mortgages or whatever, and the prices have gone up. Maybe they can't renew, or maybe they don't want to renew, they want to downsize, or maybe they want to upsize. Regardless, when there's mortgage renewals, people make moves.
That's it.
So I think what's going to happen is also the mortgage rates were just dropped a couple of weeks ago on Wednesday, the BOC rate, which only affects the variable. But I think we're going to get a lot of push to the BOC to drop even further and faster because of the stressors of the economy coming down from the US, all the changes, and the Canadian dollar being weak. It will drop, I think, a significant amount this year to stimulate some growth for buyers. And we're going to see an immense amount of inventory coming over the next year or so. And so I have a feeling the spring is going to be nuts.
Yeah, me too.
Personally, I'm really excited for it, and that's kind of the philosophy that I'm carrying with my team. So market-wise, from a real estate agent's point of view, what I would say is focus on getting those listings right now. A lot of people are deciding who they're going to work with right now, sellers-wise. buyers too, but specifically sellers, are putting pen to paper. So you want to be that person. So if there's a time to work, man, like really grind it out, it's right now.
Yes, sir. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I feel like we're already kind of feeling the spring market. Like it's priming up. It's priming up. Anyways, for me, it's been quite busy in the last few weeks. And exactly, getting as many listings, I think, is going to be the key, because as inventory ramps up like that, you want as many listings
Yeah.
to, in turn, get as many buyers as possible. As there's always people that are inquiring. For the people that are not in the business, there's always people that are inquiring when you have listings.
Sign
and
calls.
Sign calls,
Realtor.ca.
exactly. They're gonna be asking some questions, and if you can answer those questions and be professional, maybe you'll be able to grab them as a client. And if you do, that's a transaction for you right there.
Yeah, and they're the best clients because they're potentially qualified or close to it. Like for some reason, they're looking at properties, so they're under the most of the time belief that they can buy. So it's a good sign. So they're very good leads. And so if you have those listings, the person who has the listings is the person who's controlling that market. Now you've got other agents that are selling your listings for you while you're out running around with some qualified buyers, and you've got it from both ends.
That's it.
Right?
Exactly.
That's the goal. That's
Yeah.
the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's the ultimate goal. Do you think it's the best time? It's a good time to buy, sell, or hold property right now?
So, as a real estate agent, it's always a good time to buy, right, brother?
That's it.
Now, I think it's nothing's changed in terms of like, you just got to be focused on the number. So one, your motivation. Like if you're trying to get a property for your family and stop renting, then of course it's a great time to buy. If you're from the investment side of things, just you don't want to overpay. So you've really got to get a good realtor where they're focused on market value, and they can really explain the market value properly and really are good at finding comparables that make sense. And you want to try and make some money on the buy. So it is a very good time to buy, I will say, if you're working with the right expert and you're buying the right product.
I'd say so as well. There's quite a bit of opportunities I'm seeing right now. While the inventory is low, there's quite a bit of buyers that are kind of taking a step back and
these
all.
tariffs have
but
everyone scared.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a big impact. But having low inventory like this, like sometimes you can find quite good deals, because the sellers that are on the market, because they need to sell.
Yeah, exactly.
It's less so like, hey, we want to sell, we want to, downsize or whatever. Like, it's like, I need to sell, I'm going to work elsewhere, or I need to sell, the monetary aspect doesn't work anymore. So that's where you can get a deal with the negotiation.
That's a really good point, where like you want to be buying when everyone else is scared, not just the sellers, but the other buyers too. And so if buyers are a little scared right now, and you've got sellers that are in a position like you just mentioned, like jump on that and maybe just throw in your offer. You don't want to go too crazy and insult people right off the bat, because it's just a waste of everyone's time. But try and get in there, because there's a good chance you're going to be able to secure something with a seller that's severely motivated.
For sure. That's it. Have you explored any other investments? I know you're big onto real estate, but do you also do stocks? Do you do crypto? Do you do commodities?
So I'm just laughing because like, if you know me really well, like, and I don't just like talk about this a lot, but I'm like, because I'm emotional, and I as I mentioned earlier, I lead with my heart. Like, I didn't do so well with like stocks because I would make a decision in the moment based off of like my fear or my excitement. And so I used to trade stocks quite heavily. I was day trading and stuff, and I made some good gains, seriously strong gains at times. I think the most I did in one trade that took 6 to 9 months was I made $60K on Tweed at the time, Canopy Growth.
Wow.
But then I also took part of those proceeds. One, I bought a house, a down payment. Part of it went to a down payment of a house, and then the rest I put it in on what's called a private placement. So this is pre-IPO of a stock called Indiva. And if you haven't heard of it, I don't blame you. And I bought a lot of it.
That's because it didn't take off.
And that one, just to shoot myself in the foot here, like I bought a bunch of it pre-IPO, and then I I bought a bunch of it when it somehow, I don't even know how I did this. It's remarkable that I was able to do this. I bought it at the highest it ever hit in history.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was all downhill from there, bro.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts.
So-
No, that's it. It's hard to not get into the emotional state, like you said. And when the
Stocks are
emotions
tough.
lead with stocks, it's very tough. When you got time on your side and you want to, be making money, investing in a company you trust, and you've done your research,
Your
and
analytics
you're
are
willing to put
strong.
some money in there. If you're not a trader, investing in stocks is a good option for
Yeah.
sure.
What about you,
but
Matt? Like, what for yourself? Like, where have you dabbled? Have you gotten into it a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I started doing stocks at 18 when you can legally do it here in Canada, and I've had quite a bit of experiences, some big wins and some big losses as well, and that's how you learn for sure, right? So, but made a lot of money on Tesla stock. That's an amazing business. I'll always be invested in that business. I trust the leader. He's doing really good stuff, and if you bet against Elon, you're losing. That's what I learned. And but right now I'm pretty big on crypto and just one crypto asset, which is Bitcoin. I don't do any other one, and the reason I am big on there is because it's actually digital property and not digital currency, as some people think. And I like owning property as it's full ownership, right? It's like having a house, right? It's full ownership. You have it, it's yours. It's not a stock that you count on a CEO to do good actions, or it's not a company that you count on them not getting a lawsuit and going out of business, or it's not a company that you're trusting on producing more iPhones and having a better quarter so the stock goes up. It's actually just property, and if you believe that the people will be heading more so in the digital realm, I feel like it's very valuable property and very scarce property, as well as there's a set limit to it. So
When did you get into Bitcoin?
it's been 7 months now, just June
Okay.
2024. That's when I started. There was an announcement in Nashville where Trump went over there, and he said that he would be doing a treasury reserve of Bitcoin for the United States, which that's a very big buy signal to me.
Yeah.
As you know, because it is property, that's what's amazing is that there's no CEO, there's no one that you're counting on to do any actions, right? It's property, it's decentralized, it's not within the grasp of China, within the grasp of Russia or United States or Canada, wherever. It's everyone can buy it. It's the same price for everyone, and it is a property that the government of the United States has endorsed,
Right.
which is pretty big in my opinion. So that's when I started buying in June of 2024. It was about $80,000 Canadian, and now it's $140,000 Canadian right now. So it pretty much doubled, or 0.6% or 60% more.
Wow.
Right, the price. So, and I'll just keep holding it because I believe more and more people will make their way over there. And when you put yourself into perspective of, for example, what's happening in Venezuela, where their money is hyperinflated and it's not worth anything, what's the property you want to buy? Like if you do buy real estate in Venezuela, it's not actually going up in value, as the Venezuelan Boulevard, which is their dollar over there, is losing so much value that all the assets down there are losing in value.
Right.
So what do you turn to? You turn to something that can't be printed more of, which is digital, that no one can stop you from buying. Here we don't need it, right? We're comfortable. We're in a first world country. We have all these amazing things around. That's it for now. Exactly. But there's a lot of people in Africa that do need it. There's a lot of people in Brazil that do need it, and they understand it. And I feel like being on one of the first adopters, which there's a lot. There's about 500 million people that are into Bitcoin, And that's a good portion of the world, but it's not all of the world. And
Right.
there's just a couple of businesses. So
Where do you think it'll hit, like over the coming years? Like, are there targets that you've heard of that are generally thought of it going to, or because I'm interested, I'm listening, bro. Like,
yeah, I think
I'm always interested in new ways to grow.
for sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it's very hard to be doing predictions because, again, it is global property. So if there's a fear of a war somewhere, that asset is going to be sold and it'll go down in price. It'll be very volatile. It'll react all the time. And there's a 24/7 price chart. If we were here in Ottawa and we were pricing houses every single minute of the day, it would be
Yeah.
a volatile chart as well,
Yeah.
right? Depending on how the market feels. But we don't see it here. So the thing is to try and disconnect from, how volatile it is, and just, is that going to be property that people want to have in the future? If so, you believe it'll go up forever and there's no top, because there's only 21 million that'll ever exist, and there's a total of 19,400,000 something that is mined already. So there's, just not even 2 million more to be mined. So it's a very, very scarce asset with no inflation. Just to throw a number out there, and don't quote me on this, but I'd say by the end of 2025, it'd be probably $170,000 Canadian or so.
Remember
It's
this,
been
guys. We're going to come
appreciated.
back. We're going to do an episode in a
Been
year's time.
appreciating on average, that's annual return rate, 60%. Which, if you don't care about the volatility and you're convicted, 60% return, try to find that elsewhere.
Right.
I bet you won't be able to do so. If so, you're trusting a company, you're trusting a CEO, you're trusting employees to keep doing their job, you're trusting equity. But I rather have property. Yeah, that's how I see it. So it's just speculating on the price. It's very hard. I don't like speculating on the price, but I know that 20 years from now, the cap will still be 21 million. Here in Ottawa, there'll be more houses. Builders have an incentive to build more houses as prices go up. Companies have an incentive to print out more iPhones for the consumers as prices of iPhones go up, because they want to capitalize on that. So what's the only thing I know there won't be more of? Bitcoin.
Right. And I think it's super important for people to understand diversification. Like what you're talking about, you talked about, we've talked about a few things, but from the investment side of it, you're talking about real estate. I'm talking about real estate is a tangible asset that can be cash flowing. It's beneficial because you can live in it. There is a severe demand for housing, and probably will be for a long time. You've got your stock where it is Tesla, which is like a massive growth company. Elon is incredible, and what he's doing in space is mind-blowing. I've watched the videos. It's insane what he's doing. He owns space right now, and this is a car company that you can invest in that's just, you're starting to see it everywhere. You see every second car is a Tesla. So, and then you're also investing in digital currency in Bitcoin as well. You're diversifying. So I think to take from what you're saying is, and I'm listening to what you're saying. I have some crypto. It's just some altcoin that I believe it's in the dump right now, but I haven't looked at it in a while. But just the diversification, and I'm very vulnerable to real estate, so I feel it. My entire portfolio was up absolutely ridiculous in 2022, the beginning of that year, just like everyone's. And then we had, a 25% correction essentially. And so my overall equity, just like what you're talking about with Bitcoin, it was like that was a crash of my portfolio. And so it would be nice to have something that is hedging against other things. And I'm learning that diversification is incredibly important. I think even getting into bonds, getting into everything, getting into gold, getting into, and Bitcoin has definitely proven itself to be one of the front runners and one of those you got to be in. If you're smart, you got to jump in there. And I just need money. That's the problem.
That's it.
I would buy it if I had money right now.
That's it. And that's one of the perks of it not being physical, is that you don't have the taxes of the municipality. You don't have.
Aren't you supposed to claim it though? Aren't we supposed to claim Bitcoin gains and stuff, or is that only if you sell it?
Only if you sell it.
Right,
Exactly.
just like stock.
Just like homes, right?
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if ever there was a price chart of homes on a day to day, like
You're right.
we'd be feeling it. Like
I like
we'd
how you
be,
said that. It's so true.
yeah, yeah,
What's it worth
exactly.
today? $617,123
That's
and 22 cents.
Yeah, you can get caught up in that for sure. So you got to really look long term, and I got a long life ahead of me. So yeah, just trying to capitalize on what's economically sound to me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got a serious head on your shoulders for someone your age. It's very impressive, man. And it'd be really exciting to see where your career goes in real estate and specifically. And hopefully, we can do this again, and I
Thank
could
you,
be
sir.
alongside you in that journey.
For sure, for sure.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah, most definitely. Thanks for coming. I'll just ask you the one last
Yeah,
question.
hit me.
It's the signature question of the podcast. What is your most prized asset?
My most prized asset. Oh man, you. So my most prized asset is, that's really hard. I want to say my cats, but then my brain goes to actual assets, and then I think it's probably, I don't want to be too corny, but it's probably the ability to, or at least the thought that I can choose. So the freedom that I have as someone living in Ottawa and having made some decent decisions earlier in life and currently. So the ability to choose if I want to get on a plane and I want to go this place, which is, a lot of that is given to us through just being Canadian. The ability, just the ability to choose. I think that's my most, I don't even know if that's an asset,
Yeah.
but for me, like, I see that as when I close my eyes and I think about like what gets me the most excited, it's to be in a position financially, mentally, with my family, with everything in my life, to be able to choose something else, that freedom,
That's
for me.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. We got to be grateful for that. Sometimes it's hard. We get caught up, and
Yeah.
gratitude is what grounds you. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you put yourself into perspective, all the other alterations of what it could have been,
Yeah.
were very well.
Because
said
most of
here.
the world doesn't have that, right, Matt? Like most of the world doesn't really have. Maybe they do within a range, but they don't have what we have in terms of the freedom to choose and just general freedom. And so it's just, it drives our everyday. It gives us the options that we have, which is incredible.
That's it. Exactly. That ends it on a beautiful note.
Love
Thank
it.
you for coming on, Julian.
Thank you so much, brother. See you in the next one.
Cheers.
Awesome.